Welcome to Wrong Time Watch. My name is Kevin, and today we're looking at three watches. Two of them are very similar to each other, and the other one, well, let me know if you think the Hanhart here is a homage or just an alternative to the Rolex Explorer. I think it's, quite a bit different. There are some similarities, but it's pretty much its own watch. But let me know your thoughts. I'd appreciate hearing them. So first we have the Rolex Explorer 224270, the current Explorer 40, $7,950 MSRP. Then we have the Hanhart Pioneer Preventor HD12. Price for this one is $1,660. They did just recently update the clasp. So this is the previous model. I think it was less money. I don't know how much it was. And then lastly, we have the Tissel 39 millimeter. I think it's called the EX9015 or something. I don't know, but they actually don't have this watch on their website anymore. And I checked maybe 6 months ago. It wasn't on there then either. So I don't even know if they offer this watch anymore for sale. They do have a 36 millimeter version, and that is $265. I believe this was under $200 when it was purchased new a couple of years ago. So these two watches, as I mentioned, are very similar looking to each other. They both have flat sapphire crystals. They both have gloss black dials. The sizes are quite similar as well. Now the Hanhart, it looks like a flat crystal, but it's actually very slightly domed. But that dome is enough to pick up some reflections from the surrounding surrounding environment, I should say. It doesn't look too bad on video here, but I can see my face in it when I try to tell the time, so it's just a little bit distracting. I much prefer flat sapphire crystals now. But you can see the studio lighting there. It doesn't look terrible. This does have AR coating, and I believe the Explorer does as well. The Explorer doesn't really need it. If you have flat sapphire crystals, you really don't need the AR coating, but I know Rolex has started to put that on their watches now. So let's stick with the Hanhart here for the next bit of specs. We have printed indices, Superluminova C1, so everything on the dial is printed. This is a matte black dial. Probably can't really tell with this lighting. I think, well, you can kind of tell a little bit. It was interesting. The measurement on this watch is a little bit larger than the Rolex, but the dial kind of looks larger on the Rolex. Very slight difference. But anyway, we have applied indices for the Rolex and Tissel. We have, of course, Rolex Chromolite with the Rolex, and then for the Tissel we have BGW9 Lume, so it'll be interesting to see that at the end of the video here. We also do have some printing on the Rolex. The Rolex logo and the text and the minute track is all printed, and then we do have the applied indices. I really appreciate applied indices versus printed. Just gives it a little more premium look to the watch. We have that on the Tissel as well. This should pick a different brand name. If they had something a little bit different on there, then I don't know. I think it would increase the appeal to these watches, but they're such a low price, and then for what you get, I think they're really good value. But they are, of course, a homage brand. I think everything they offer is a homage of something else, a copy, basically. Okay, so on the Rolex, we have the 3230 movement. Second hand is sweeping at 8 beats per second, and we get 70 hours of power reserve, which is pretty amazing. And then we have a signed screw-down crown, and this watch offers 100 meters of water resistance. Next, we have the Hanhart Preventor, which has a stop rod, SOP P024 movement, which is basically a clone of the ETA 2824-2, 8 beats per second, and 38 hours of power reserve. So the power reserve is a little bit on the low end. And lastly, the Tissel, we have a Miyota 90S5 movement, which also offers a smooth sweep at 8 beats per second and a little bit more power reserve at 42 hours of power reserve. I think these two movements should have the same amount of reliability. The accuracy, I think, is probably a little better on the stop rod. Well, at least according to the specs, the accuracy specs, but probably actually accuracy on wrist is pretty close to each other. The Rolex is the best, of course, at plus minus 2 seconds per day. So amazing accuracy on the Rolex. We also do have a signed screw down crown on the Tissel, and same as the Rolex, 100 meters of water resistance. So all of these watches have different steels. We have 316L stainless steel here. This is a different steel alloy which has been hardened, so it's 1200 HV hardness. Stainless steel, 316L stainless steel is about 200, so this is 5 to 6 times harder than 316L stainless steel. And lastly, the Rolex has 904L steel, which it is a brighter steel. It's supposed to be more corrosion resistant, but it does scratch easier. We do have some little swirlies on this one. Not sure if the camera will pick it up, but all of my Rolex watches, you definitely get some blemishes on these easier than 316L stainless steel. All right, on to the bracelets. So we'll go with the Rolex here. Solid end links, solid links. We have screw pins. We have 3 internal micro adjusts. This watch was not fun to size. It took quite a bit of effort, and I think I scratched it up on the inside a little bit, but you have these grooves here and then nubs on the inside. You do get the easy link. See, there we go. I really don't use the easy link all that much on this. I don't think I've ever used it outside of showing it on video, really. So you can see a little bit of scuffs on the side of the case there as well. Milled clasp, milled, well, all of the clasp is milled, we'll put it that way. And then you do have the safety clasp there as well. Go to the Tissel, it's a very similar construction. Solid end links, solid links, screw pins. This has a toolless on the fly adjustment, similar to what you would see on a Rolex Submariner. So this clasp is probably technically a little better than the Explorer, just because it's easier to adjust. So it's nice to have. And this is all milled as well. No logo on here. And then you do have the safety fold over on this one. Lastly, the Hanhart Preventer. We have, these are kind of like a combination of male and female end links. They look like female, but act a little more like male end links. We do have quick release pins on the bracelet, so a lot easier to take this bracelet off. It's a comfortable bracelet. I don't think I would take it off, but it does look nice on a strap as well. The Rolex, I don't ever plan on taking that bracelet off. So we do have solid end links, solid links. Again, the use of screw pins, a little bit smaller screws on these here. We have a stamped and milled clasp. This portion here is milled. This is stamping. We do have 3 micro adjusts, dual pushers. I prefer the dual pushers over having a safety clasp. It's a cleaner look, and I think it's, well, it's probably not technically quite as secure, but it's pretty secure. I don't see this ever really coming off wrist unintentionally. We do have this nice Hanhart engraving here, and this has a, I'll call it a dive extension. Gains you 15 millimeters versus, I think the Easy Link is 5 millimeters. So the Easy Link is more practical, in my opinion, than this dive extension. Let's see if we can figure out. Oh, grabbed the wrong watch. We had a glance there. The Tissel and Explorer look very, very similar to each other. There we go. So, yeah, not that much of an extension, and it's little tricky too, because it's not, you don't get that full length. I think it's about 5 millimeters, if I remember correctly. Okay, let's talk about the dimensions. Let's go from, well, I would say from biggest to smallest, but it's not that simple. The dimensions are different from each other. So we'll talk about tip to tip on the bracelet. I measured it with it folded down. You can see it doesn't completely fold all the way down under the case. So we're looking at 49 millimeter on the Hanhart, 46 lug to lug on the case, 39 millimeter diameter, 10.6 thick from the case back to the slightly domed crystal, 20 millimeter lug width, tapering down to 16 millimeter. You have a 7.1 millimeter signed screw down crown, and the watch weighs in at 134 grams. So we'll go to the next longest tip to tip here on the bracelet. So 51.2 tip to tip, lug to lug 46.5 on the case. And then the diameter of this measured from here to here, so from 3 to 9, is 38.5 millimeter. But this is called the Explorer 40. So keep that in mind. If you think this may be too big for your wrist, it's actually a little bit smaller than the sizing would indicate, or the nomenclature of it being the Explorer 40. Anyway, 38.5 diameter, 11.7 thick, so a little thicker than the Hanhart. And then 21 millimeter lug width, tapering down to 16.5, 6.9 millimeter signed screw down crown, and this also weighs in at 134 grams. So the same weight as the Hanhart. It feels, I don't know, I was going to say it feels lighter, but it sounds a little silly actually. But it does feel lighter somehow. But the scale doesn't lie. Lastly, the longest and I suppose the largest watch, 53.8 tip to tip on the center link here. Lug to lug on the watch case, 47 millimeter, 39 millimeter diameter, 12.2 thick, so it is the thickest, 20 millimeter lug width, and this tapers down to 16 millimeter. We have a 6.9 millimeter signed screw down crown, and this watch weighs in at 133 grams. So let me put each of these on wrist, and then we'll check out the Lume. I'm planning on keeping this one for a long time, and I'll be selling these other two. I don't know about the to sell. It might not even be worth selling it, but I'll never wear it, so might as well just sell it. But yeah, it's a great wearing watch. It's very comfortable. You can see I've got some scars on it from wearing it. I've worn this watch. It's probably my most worn watch of the year, actually. Let's go to the to sell next, just because it looks so similar. I mean, from, maybe 10 feet away, you would think this is the Explorer. Very similar looking. Not as refined. I think it would look better if this center link nub here was a little more refined, like the Rolex. I think the Rolex has got to be 3 separate pieces, or I'm not sure how they machine that to be so crisp. But this here is all one piece, so it's kind of dull looking. And actually, I'll show you. You can see where they had to machine it. Right there, you can see that little depression right here. So I'm not sure if this is a casting or what, but you can see they had to machine it to get the bracelet to fit on there. So this looks a little goofy, but again, it's sub $300 watch. Then we have the Hanhart. I like this watch. If I didn't have the Explorer, I think I would more strongly consider keeping this. My only really big complaint about it is the fact that it's a slightly domed crystal, but most of the time it's not an issue. I like the look of it. I like the cathedral hands. I like the Arabics. I like a lot about this watch. I also like that it has the hardness coating to it, so it's not as easy to scratch this thing. And it wears thin and it wears comfortable. So yeah, I think I would keep this around if I did not have the Explorer. They look somewhat similar to each other, fill the same role. I can't really think of a time I would grab this instead of the Explorer. I think I would just, well, I haven't really worn this watch that much, so. Anyway, I guess not a so quick look, a little bit longer of a look at these 3 watches, but let me know your thought if you think this is more of an alternative to the Explorer. Do you think these both could stay in the collection, or do you consider this a homage to the Explorer? All right, that will conclude, actually, it will not conclude this video. I need to look at the Lume. So I am now reminded of one more failing of the Hanhart here, and you'll see it in just a moment when I turn off the UV light. But on the left, we have the Rolex Explorer, we have the Hanhart in the middle, and then the Tissel on the right. So the Lume is pretty quickly dying on the Arabics on the Hanhart. Personally, I don't care about the Lume too much. I wouldn't let that prevent me from buying this watch, but if you're a Lume junkie, then the Hanhart is not for you. The handset is nice and bright, but the Arabics have died out pretty quickly here. And then BGW9 on the Tissel is pretty nice, but does not compare to the Rolex on the left. But again, the Rolex is, 6 times more expensive than the Hanhart, and I don't know, 20 times, 30. It's a lot more expensive than the Tissel. All right, that will conclude this video. As always, thank you for your time, and thank you for watching.